So we here now. It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. And I'm down like a submarine and keep my sneakers clean. Make sure that we keep things shining like apple sheen on your head. Yo, we shine on your head. This means that we got those brain cells fed, and everything is going to be okay. We do this like this on afternoon Saturday. Hey, what's up, y'all? First of all, I'm sorry I'm late, but there were circumstances beyond my control, so I had to put the other things on my life on hold. But now that we're here, I'm going to make sure that we do the things that make you care. So what's up, man? Urban Therapy with Sun 752. And today we have a serious topic going on. The streets have guns. Do you think you need a gun? What is your stance about having a gun right now? Man, I live in the city of Philadelphia and it's bad out here. And because I grew up here and I understand the people here, I understand the culture, I understand it deeply, it doesn't make me afraid to go out here in these streets. But I have to acknowledge that it's dangerous. It's weird and it's crazy. And it's an area of concern with those of us who have young children, or even just any of our loved ones, because anybody out there can get got, and unfortunately that means you get shot. And there's so many guns up on the street, it makes you feel like that out there you can't compete, and it's not supposed to be a competition when you go out having to do things and you're on another mission. But I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna keep it real. Yo, I don't have a propensity to kill, but I'm gonna make sure that I defend mine, and I know that you would do the same. I'm gonna say your name. Hopefully, I don't have to do that thing on the candlelight vigil. I'm trying to talk to each and every individual. What's up, y'all? This gun thing that's going on out here is crazy. It really is. And it seems like the more you try to ignore it, the more you try to get comfortable, the worse that it seems to get. So we're gonna get into it. Let's find out what our stance is as far as these firearms are concerned. Do you think that automatic weapons are the problem? Do you think that assault weapons are assault rifles are the problem? When it really all comes down to it, guns don't do anything but kill. They're not designed to do anything except for hurt and kill. That's it. They don't have another purpose. It makes me nervous when you really think about how some people try to play it down. When it comes down to it, we can't mess around. Let's get it popping. Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We do this every single Saturday from 1 p.m. till around 2:30-ish. And the reason that we say 2:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Saturday. And it is Saturday. This is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss, and fight, bust it up, all go back and forth, bust it up, all crazy. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see the way that the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. I am your host, Sun 752, aka Omar with the and if you can't say Omar with the well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show, all up in your area. I'm feeling like a real man should, and I hope y'all feeling like real men and women should. Speaking of feeling like a real man, that's the problem. That's part of the problem with this gun situation. So many men, young, middle-aged, and older men, really believe that the way to solve your problems as a man is through aggression. And a lot of times that aggression is through the ability or the threat to be able to hurt somebody, to kill somebody, to take somebody up off of here, to maim somebody, to cripple somebody. And that's not even normally the aim. When people have guns and they shoot them, it's not normally to just hurt them or stop them or to get away. It's to take them up out of here, eliminate them from this world. And it's a reality that we have to deal with. So we're going to deal with that today. But we're going to talk about the gun issue, especially as black men and women. We have to talk about this gun issue because we are on so many different sides of the fence when it comes to the gun issue. You have those of us who think guns are totally bad and that they're the reason that there's so much chaos and violence and death and destruction out here. So, you have people who even to this day say, no, I don't want a gun. I don't need a gun. I'm not getting a gun. A gun in the wrong hands is what the problem is. Then you have people who believe in protection and the protection that a gun will allow you to have, but maybe they don't believe that you should have a gun out there in the streets. So they believe in gun ownership, but only in the home. Then you have people who believe in the right to carry, the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment, and that you should be able to purchase as many guns and as many different kinds of guns that you want to, because guns in the wrong hands are only the guns that are in the hands of criminals. And we've seen that that's not true. Even with the mass shootings, a lot of times with many of these mass shootings, they haven't even been people who have had criminal records. Maybe they were on their way to having a criminal record, but many of these offenders haven't had criminal records. Some have, but many haven't. So we can't rightfully say that assault weapons or guns of any type are the problems with criminals more than anything else. Then you have like military personnel who believe in the Second Amendment, but they have been trained properly to know how to use a gun, and they are concerned with using guns safely, if there's a such thing, properly. There's definitely a such thing, and only in necessary situations, which there is definitely a such thing. But I'm interested in finding out how y'all feel about it today. Let's talk about the gun issue, especially as it relates to us Black people, because in America, written right into the Constitution and definitely implied in our news outlets and all of that, we are the problem when it comes to this gun situation, except when it comes to mass shootings. We're not the problem when it comes to that, but when they start talking about crime and when they start talking about the Second Amendment and the right to defend yourself, they are actually implying that we are the people that need to be defended against. Many of us don't want to believe the truth in those words and in that actuality, but it is an actuality. It's something that we have to deal with. We have been seen as an enemy of the state for generations and generations, mainly because we have been demonized by the government for so many generations that they figured that at some point we're going to get sick of it and start to rebel, like MC Ren said in Real Niggas Don't Die. But a nigga got smart and rebelled back. I'm not with that black shit, so I'm not going to hell that. But if every nigga grabbed the 9 and started shooting motherfuckers, it would put them in line. Well, I understand his feelings on the matter. But that first line that he said, if a nigga got smart and rebelled back, well, the government has long awaited, prepared themselves, and has concerned themselves and worried themselves about whether we would get smart and rebel back. So it's interesting how so many of our people don't believe in guns at all on any level. It's interesting, but it's not surprising to me. It's interesting because logically you would think, well, the same thing that has been used to neutralize us or many times demoralize or commit genocide against us. This is another word I was looking for. Diminish, defeat. Anyway, you would think that logically we would embrace, like, well, what I need to do or what we need to do is be able to use the guns what we need to be able to do is use the guns better than they do, and then we'll have the upper hand, and we'll finally be able to defend ourselves and be able to live a decent life and be comfortable. But no, we don't think that way. And we're not conditioned to think that way, and I don't expect us to start thinking that way anytime soon. So many of us, especially, and this is not a diss, but it's a fact, many of our black females are really, really against guns. My baby mom, notwithstanding, you know, she brought her son, who I consider to be my son, she brought him up to believe, think, and know that guns are bad. I remember when she told me, yeah, he knows that guns are bad and blah, blah. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Now, wait a goddamn minute. You want a problem out of me? You'll get it easily when you start talking about how our ability or willingness to protect ourselves with by any means necessary, but definitely by firearms. When you tell me that that's a bad thing, and then you also teach that the police who use those guns against us are a good thing, I have a problem with that. So needless to say, I ain't teaching him no mess like that. And I'm not advocating that on any level. I don't agree with it on any level. Okay, maybe I agree with it on this level. Guns can be bad, especially when you have one pointed against you and you don't have one to point at anyone else. I will say that much. Where you lose me is that you can't consider one thing to be all bad. Actually, I should stop right there. You can't consider one thing to be all bad. There's hardly anything in this world that is all bad, like 100% bad, no wavering, no nothing. So it's sort of like something we got to deal with. All right. But I'm interested in finding out where y'all are with this topic. What is your stance on guns? What's going on, T. Carey? Right, morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my people going directly into your site. And Leslie Harris, never embarrassed. Thanks for coming through. I'm good to see you, Harris. And Stacey White, thanks for coming through on the day and not the night. But I'm glad to see you at night too. And Robbie Ming, my big sis, thanks for coming on through. She's something like a queen for a king, came on the scene. She's the best, yeah, I mean. And my brother from another mother, Norris Hill. Sit back, relax. Happy birthday, yo, you chill. What's going on, my brother? You know, we gave you a shout out yesterday. Good to see me some you. I'm glad to have you here for another round of the solar return. You know what I mean? Happy birthday to you and many more. Many more birthdays for you. So where do we stand on this gun issue for our people? How do y'all feel about it? And if you would like to call into the show, I invite you to call in, and the number to call is area code 319-527-6199. 319-527-6199. All you have to do is press number 1, and that will let me know that you would like to speak, and then I will call you out by the last 4 digits of your telephone number. You can rock on and do the damn thing. So this is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752, aka Omar with the talking about these guns. What about these guns? What we gonna do? You know, living in the city of Philadelphia, man. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm not one of those people who says, "Oh man, I'm so embarrassed to live in this city. It's so bad out here." You know, I can't look at it that way. Because even with all of the violence that goes on in this city, shoot, I don't know this city without violence. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. I don't know what it's like to live in the city of Philadelphia and not have the threat of violence be imminent at all times. It doesn't mean that I don't know how to get comfortable, because I've learned how to cope within this situation to get comfortable with an uncomfortable situation. There's violence. But I tend to, and I choose to concentrate on where the violence stems from. What are we talking about? Where are we going with it? When we start talking about how violent this city may be, or any city, what are the problems that exist out there that are causing our streets to be violent? What are we shooting for? What's happening? Is it just random? Are we just, grabbing guns out there and shooting anybody that we see? Is it something like what was going on in the 90s and the 80s and 90s? Are we battling for territory? Are there drugs involved? Is there some type of money situation that's vested in making sure that we get ours and somebody else doesn't get theirs? Is that what's going on? Are we is there some type of mental illness issue that has gone undiagnosed and unresolved? Are we just influencing our youth, and then sometimes the not so young, to handle their problems with frustration, with violence? Are we talking about gangs? That's the interesting thing about my city. We don't have organized gangs here. We don't have Bloods and Crips. We don't have Gangster Disciples. We don't have I can never get this damn thing right. The gang that's been in Chicago since forever. Shout out to Chicago, because at least they always stayed true to the gangs that they had, and they would not let the Bloods and Crips come in. Shout out to them. I don't condone any of that gang life stuff, but one thing I really am against is letting somebody from another faction, another state, another city, another place come in and take over your shit. So little Candy Cake talking about something. Can you focus, please? Focus on what? I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Can you focus on what I'm talking about? Let's do that. You could do that, you might get somewhere. Matter of fact, 319-527-6199. You can call in and you can get all the focus that you need. I promise. 319-527-6199. Press number 1, and I promise you that focus will be spot on just for you. All right. Oh, Nar said his birthday was good. I was tuned in for the show, but didn't get to give thanks before. No, that's all good. Love is love, baby. You know what I mean? He was out there birthday and doing your thing. Robbie Mink says, I have 4 nieces who have guns. I'm thinking about getting me one. I'm gonna tell y'all honestly from my standpoint. You have people out here. You have those of us who buy jewelry. You have those of us who buy handbags, cars, and stuff like that. You should buy guns every time you have some extra money. Buy some more guns, more and more and more. every black person should own multiple guns, pistols, rifles, semi-automatic, single shots, revolvers, plenty of them. You can never have too many guns. You're only gonna use one at a time anyway. Well, sometimes two if it's a handgun. But you should have as many as possible. One thing about guns, even more than jewelry, they never lose their value. They really don't. Guns increase with value. We never really think about it that way, but they do. You have like a 1910 Dillinger. It's going to be worth a lot of money. It's a lot of money for that gun. Sure, it's going to cost a lot more than it cost back in 1910. And not just because it's an antique. They stay working. You clean your guns, you keep them right, they will fire, especially revolvers. Oh, okay. All right, we're good, little candy cake. We good. No, I'm not distracted. There's nothing here to distract me, actually. Yeah, we good. But yeah, I think black people should buy guns every chance they get because whether you accept it or not, care about it or not, or know about it or not, there are white right-wing militia groups buying guns just in case you wake your sleeping black ass up one day and say, wait a minute. You know that if you follow the Middle Passage, the way that we came to America was by the gun. They sure wasn't able to beat us with no spears and bows and arrows. They beat us with the gun. Even if you don't subscribe to the Middle Passage, even if you have evidence that we were already here and didn't come from Africa, the way that they got us to submit here was they shot a bunch of us. And it was like, hey, no gun, no gun, no way to win. And it was true. The gun has been everything for the white man. Everything. Everything, everywhere you go. The gun has made everything possible for the white man. Read your history. Study your history. It'll show you. It'll confirm it. It has been to the detriment of all other races, all other cultures, all other ethnic groups. So from my point of view, and not even trying to be militant about it, just keeping it a buck, buy a gun every chance you get. Whatever you can afford. From that garbage gun to 380. A lot of people have a 380, but it's really a piece of shit. I don't care what brand, it's a piece of shit. But it's an easy carry gun, and it'll get the job done. Now, don't get me wrong. Although I make the suggestion that you be able to arm yourself, which is protecting yourself. I'm not telling you to go out there and hurt anybody, stick anybody up, kill anybody. But what I am imploring you to do is to make sure that when they come to get you and drag you out of your house on some Emmett Till shit, that you have the means to arm yourself and everybody in your home with a way to match force with force. That's what I'm saying. And there's a good reason that I believe that. If you look at Rosewood, if you look at Black Wall Street, if you look at Wilmington, North Carolina, if you look at there have been so many situations in American society where black people were doing well, thriving, building their communities, sustaining wealth, building wealth, and trying to make something for ourselves. And the gun came and wiped all of that out. They wiped us out, and they wiped and they erased and rewrote the history. The gun is a good way for you to keep them from being able to do that. And that's all I'm saying. By no means am I telling you to go out there and kill your brother and sister. I'm not telling you to go out there and kill your brother and sister. I'm not telling you to go out there and kill anyone. White, Asian, Hispanic, anyone. What I'm telling you, or what I'm suggesting to you, is that when they come against you unjustifiably, you have a way to push back and say, nope, you ain't going to try me in the streets. We ain't holding court in the streets. That's what's not. If we holding court in the streets, I'm the judge, jury, and executioner, not you. That's just how I feel. Yeah, I own guns, and I'll take any guns that anybody gets me, and I'll buy more. And I tell everybody in my family, everybody gets a gun. You get 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 a gun. Even my cat got a gun. Crystal got a gun. Like, chill, Crystal. Use them nails for right now. But if it comes down to it, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? If a rogue Mighty Mouse come through, bussing. One thing we not gonna do is have the rodent takeover. We not doing that. We not doing that. My man Cal Doom. South Shaolin. Fist Cal Doom. What's going on, my brother? T. Carey Wright says, gun range for the boys and I. I hear that. That's right. The gun range is a perfect place to learn how to shoot properly, learn gun safety. You should learn. You should know how to take your gun apart, clean it, put it back together. You know, if you have a gun that has safety features, you should know how to use them. You should actually know how to use them and when to use them. Personally, I prefer weapons that don't have the safety feature. The worst thing that can happen is somebody does a home invasion of your house and you have to go and get that key to unlock your gun. Because theirs is already unlocked. And all of that stuff that you see on TV with that, why are you just cocking your weapon? You took your weapon out uncocked? What are you, a cop? And the reason that I say what are you, a cop, is because although you see cops on the street with their weapons on their side in their holsters, it's illegal, unlawful for a cop to have his gun already cocked and loaded. So it's called chambering around. When the gun is when a gun is in a cop's holster, when he pulls it out of his holster, he should not be able to pull it out of his holster and bang. He's supposed to have to pull it out, chamber around, and bust. If he takes it out and he could bust, that is illegal. Even if you were committing a crime, if it can be proven that his round was already chambered in his holster, then he will be held liable for that. I don't know how many of y'all knew that, but that's a fact. You can look it up. So in the movies, when you hear, when you see a cat pull out a gun and he like you didn't have the round chambered yet? Niggas, you crazy. A gun without a bullet in the chamber is a useless gun. So you don't have that problem with revolvers. Other problems that you don't have with revolvers are problems with the gun jamming. A revolver, you could throw a revolver in the river or any body of water. You can have it in there for a century. Pull that rusty thing out of the water, Put bullets in that thing and it'll shoot if the parts are still good. Now you try that with semi-automatics. First of all, you got to chamber it around. If it's a cheap gun from a cheap manufacturer, you start shooting with it and the gun gets hot, and then the metal swells and it'll jam on you because you probably haven't oiled the thing up or whatever. Guns like Glocks, 6 Hour, Heckler and Koch, those are really, really high end guns. You have some Smith and Wessons. Smith and Wesson is a good gun, but they make cheap guns also. You get what you pay for with the Smith and Wesson. With Glocks, with 6 Hours, with especially with Heckler and Koch, you getting premium. You getting a premium firearm. That thing is going to work. You can lick off 100 rounds, 2, 3, 4, 500 rounds. That thing is going to keep shooting. You just keep loading, it's going to keep shooting. But okay, so what is your stance? How do y'all feel about it? Gun or no gun for you and yours? What are your concerns? Like I said, we can talk about it. 319-527-6199. 319-527-6199. With all of these mass shootings that are going on, how do y'all feel about it? Sure, a lot of black people write it off as that's just white people doing this thing, blah, 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 blah. But you talk about the NRA, and the NRA, the National Rifle Association, they say, no, you should be able to purchase any type of firearms that you want, whether it's an assault rifle, whether it's a semi-automatic, whether it's a revolver, whether it's a damn bazooka. Yeah, you should be able to purchase a cannon if you want to. Weapons of war. How do y'all feel about that? Do you think that they're right? How do you feel about the Second Amendment? The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Now, when they say the right to bear arms, they say that, yeah, you can own a firearm legally. Doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be any rules governing it. There will be rules. Well, the NRA doesn't believe that there should be any rules. They don't believe that you should have to get background checks in order to have a gun or buy a gun or own a gun. They don't believe that there should be any restrictions on any type of gun that you purchase or want. And you have to think about what their motivation is. They also pretty much preach that whenever Democrats start talking about gun reform, or whenever they start talking about gun legislation, anything related to a gun that goes against whatever the NRA says, they believe that that's the government's plot to take away your ability to be able to defend yourself. Now you have to understand why they are so hell bent on being able to defend themselves and making sure that they have as many guns to be able to do it. Anybody who has joined the military and has gone overseas, whether you are in war or not, you know that what we do when we go overseas to occupy a territory, the first thing that is done is that we take away all of the weapons of the people who live there. That's what the occupation is all about. They call it destabilization. They call it stabilization. The area is destabilized when people have the ability to shoot back at the people who can shoot at them. So when the United States comes in Iraq, when the United States comes in Afghanistan, they want to take everybody's weapons away because they know that if if the people who live there or have been living there want to defend themselves, or if they look at the United States as a threat instead of a helper, then they can shoot them back because it's their land. They know it better than the United States knows it, regardless of the intel, regardless of the mapping, regardless of whatever prior planning that has gone into the operations before they got there. People who live there know their way around. They know the hiding places. They know the secrets. They know where to go. They know what to do. And if they have weapons, then they can lay in the cut and pick our soldiers off. Ping, 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 ping. Roadside bombs, everything. So we take all of their weapons away so we can appear friendly. We make sure that we keep our weapons, but we make sure that we take their weapons. It's really hard to look at somebody who has all the weapons and you have none. It's hard to look at them as not being the aggressor. Very hard. But that's what the United States says. No, we're friendly. On some Casper the Ghost shit. I just want to be friends. Don't be scared of me. I just want to be friends. Why are you afraid of me? So, people who have joined the military who understand how we stabilize an area that we are occupying, they know that the same thing can be done at home. It can be done domestically. If they take away all of the citizens' ability to be able to form a military faction of their own, should they become unenchanted or disinterested or what's the word I'm looking for when they say when you no longer like the government, when you no longer like the government and you decide that you're going to break off and form a government of your own. There's a word I'm looking for. Shout out to my brother Ansel Jones. My brother Ansel Jones is all up in the house. What's going on? But yeah, like Texas. Texas is always talking about, yo, we breaking off from this American government so we can form our own government. We'll have all the guns and we'll do we'll implement all of the death penalty that we want. And we'll keep these Mexicans out of here. Texas has been talking about seceding from the United States since forever. Whenever they get mad, Texas is Texas and the United States is the United States. But anyway, there's a word that I'm looking for that I can't think of right now. And American citizens, especially white American citizens, they want to make sure that they never lose their Second Amendment right to bear arms. So if the government tries to come at them and tell them what to do and try to push them around and implement these laws that are totally unreasonable and that they refuse to follow, that they'll have the guns necessary. They'll have the firepower necessary to be able to defend themselves. It is what it is. Black people need to get on that type time. The Black Panthers were on that type time. And I don't want to stay on the Black Panthers, but I'll talk about the Black Panthers for a minute. The Black Panthers are who you have to thank for gun registry. Before the Black Panthers, you did not have to have a registered. There was no such thing as registering a firearm. You had whatever gun you had. When the Black Panthers came through and they started talking about their right to bear arms, and they had all of those guns with these what do you Ansel, what do you call the that magazine full of bullets that like strap across your chest? You know what I mean? That you load into that automatic rifle. I don't know what you call it, but yeah, the Black Panthers was running around with that, and it was their right to bear arms, and they were exercising their right. They knew their rights better than the police knew. You wasn't taking their guns from them. So what they did was they said, okay, from now on, we have to know what guns you have. So every firearm must be registered. And that's when they start putting the numbers on the guns. You got to register your firearm in order to carry it legally. See how things change when black people start stepping up and exercising their rights? I hope you don't think that that's an isolated incident. Shout out to the Black Panthers, and shout out to the ministers, what are they? Deacons for Defense during the Civil Rights era. The Deacons for Defense wasn't having it. They wasn't having it. They was fighting back, shooting back, hitting back, hurting back. They made a movie about the Deacons for Defense. Interestingly enough, the Deacons for Defense had all been in the military. So nobody from the Deacons for Defense ever admitted to being in the Deacons of Defense. They like Deacons of Defense. I don't know no Deacons of Defense. Never heard of it. Oh, that was folklore. I don't know anything about any Deacons for Defense. They knew once you start admitting that you were one of the Deacons for Defense, now they're gonna find a way to string your ass up, or the government can come in and grab you up and whatever. So they said, nope. If there was a Deacons for Defense, then they've already been neutralized. They've already been diminished or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, while Martin Luther King was marching and preaching nonviolence, the Deacons for Defense was like, come around here, you're gonna get your ass, you gonna get your ass shot. That's how that's gonna go. Oh, I see that we have a caller on the line. So when it comes to us and our ability to be able to defend ourselves, it's serious business. It is. It's very serious business. It's not something that we should take lightly. It's not something that we can just blow off. We are not on balanced or equal footing with other people in this nation. And anybody who thinks that we are, anybody of this hue, of this color, of this shade, who thinks that we are, is seriously fooling themselves. You know, of course, many of us believe that all of our problems are of our own volition. Like we've caused our own problems. Like we're the reason, we're our own reason for our condition. Well, nonetheless, with these mass shootings that are going on, we have to decide what our next plan of attack is going to be. If there's going to be a plan of attack at all. What's it going to be? What are we going to do? They say live by the gun, die by the gun. Well, we all have to live before we die. And way too many of us have died by the gun. What's your willingness to let it happen again? Like I said, my daughter's mom, her thing was like, guns are bad. I say guns are okay. People are bad. She says, yeah, people are bad with guns. I'm like, not all of them. I ain't shot nobody. And it's interesting because war heroes are people who have killed a bunch of people with guns overseas. Guns or bombs. That's the only way you become a war hero. You don't become a war hero by making peace or by diplomatic relations. You become a war hero because you done killed a bunch of the enemy. Sometimes hundreds of them. Hundreds of bodies on your conscience, on your brain. Yeah. So, but with the whole gun situation, these mass shootings, the situations that are going on in Philadelphia, New York, and Chicago, our inability to be able to gather anymore. It seems like ever since the pandemic started, our ability to be able to gather anymore is like a decision that you really have to think about now. Like, yo, man, is something going to jump off? Can I take my children? Can I take my kids to this carnival? Can we go to this concert? Is it okay to go to this state fair? Can I go to this parade? It ain't even just a big city thing now. Highland Park, Chicago. Well, not Chicago. Highland Park, Illinois. The big thing about that was like Highland Park is an affluent suburb of Chicago. We ain't talking about the south side of Chicago. We're not talking about a bunch of gangbangers. And we ain't talking about black people killing. And most of these mass shootings, you're not talking about black people. No, that's not how the game goes. T. Carey Wright says, we can't even relax at a neighborhood barbecue. True indeed. It's crazy. It's like, I don't want to think that way, but that's where we are with it. Yep. All right. All right. All right. We're going to take the caller. Caller with the last numbers 4953. Hold on. Welcome to the Urban Therapy with Sun show. Thank you for holding. What's on your mind this afternoon?
So you said it's illegal for a policeman to have a round in his chamber when you get out of his car.
In the city of Philadelphia, yeah.
All right, well then now you qualified because you made it sound like there's one national police department that has their rule clean across the country. You made mention that with the advent of the Black Panther, they started putting serial numbers on guns. That's not. Serial numbers have been on manufactured guns and other items hundreds of years before there was a Black Panther. Do you agree?
Well, I said that the Black Panthers are who we have to thank for having to register a gun. You didn't have to register guns before the Black Panthers.
Then you made mention about the United States goes in.
Wait. Do you agree with that, or do you dispute that too?
Well, really, I don't know because registering a gun is not the responsibility of the federal government. It's the responsibility of municipalities.
That's not what I'm talking about. What I said was that thanks to thanks to when the Black Panthers started brandishing weapons, carrying weapons openly, and talking about their rights to do so. That's when registering weapons happened. Do you have it? Do you have a
Or in
dispute?
California,
Huh?
in California.
No, nationally. You can check it out.
Well, it wasn't that way. It's not that way in Missouri. See when you say nationally, that means that in this particular case, it's something that's coming out of the federal government. Federal government don't have that control.
Okay.
So it had to been locally. It would have to been a local ordinance that was put into effect. Whereas when people bought weapons, they would register. I lived in St. Louis area, and I remember St. Louis County adopting that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you buy a weapon, you had to register with St. Louis County. That was like in the 80s.
Okay.
All right, one other thing. You made mention about the United States going in the countries, and this particular case, like you said, Afghanistan, or maybe you say Iraq, but the United States was invited into Afghanistan by the Afghanistan government to fight factions known as the Taliban and also ISIS. They didn't wage war against them because those factions were not countries. They were just factions that was causing a bunch of trouble. And they don't go in to take away people's guns. That would be counterproductive of what they live for with the Second Amendment of the United States. They wouldn't do that. Matter of fact, I tell you, it was one group there in, I think it was Iraq, or the Army Brigade. They started handing out Bibles. Well, they immediately had to stop that when it was complained upon. So
Who started handing out
going
Bibles?
into the country, you have to be invited.
Wait.
I tell you, give me an example.
Wait a minute. Wait. Who started handing out Bibles?
Uh-huh. One of the units there, divisions there, they was handing out Bibles when they went into Iraq, and they had to stop it.
One of the units from Iraq or the United States?
No, one of America's initial units that went into Iraq was beginning to hand out Bibles, and they had to stop.
Yeah,
because of the people complaining, and rightfully so. You got to go in trying to prophesy.
Yeah. There you go, doing that same shit that they've been doing for 500 years. That bullshit. But go ahead.
And then one other thing kind of skipped my mind, but it's just like during the Katrina, President Bush had to get permission from the governor of Louisiana before they could bring in the National Guard, activate the National Guard to do what it was doing. When you had General Honore, and he initially led that effort in Louisiana proper, especially New Orleans. So no, the federal government just can't walk up into places and tell you something else. The FBI can't leave them. The FBI come into a community, they have to check in with the local police. Federal government gets its powers from the states. Federal government has no police powers. If a state don't want something, they will say we don't want it. Case in point, which you probably lived through, with a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. Some states said we're not going to do it. Federal government said, well, we will withhold your share of gasoline tax revenue. Those states said, well,
listen.
anything from us that we don't get.
Hold on, sir. We're going to talk about guns, and we're going to talk about gun ownership and these mass shootings. We're not going into all that.
Yeah, and on your question on guns, I agree, because this is what the Second Amendment says. Second Amendment is absolute.
All right. So
the only reason why
I want to talk. Hold on.
Why come you have? Pardon me?
I want to talk about something that you disputed about us not taking away the guns of the citizens in other countries. Yes, we do. That's how we stabilize the area. because we know that
You
that.
get
Wait a minute, let me finish.
you don't have
Wait a minute, let me
interaction.
finish. Let
You
me
don't
finish.
have interaction with the populace. You
Slow
only
down.
have
Wait, let
interaction
me.
with
Wait,
the
you're not going to overtalk me. So, like I said, the United States knows that when they go into another country, that they're going into other countries with two things in mind, which is really only one thing. They're going in with financial interest and they're going in with territorial interest, which translates into financial interest. People from other countries know this. You know, the United States is not smarter than other countries, and other countries aren't dumb enough to think that the United States is just going to come in there and be their knight in shining armor with the white hat on, and is there to just rescue them from the evils of communism, fascism, or anything else. They know better than that. And contrary to popular American propaganda, everybody from other countries does not believe in democracy, free elections, and all of that. We tell ourselves, we tell our citizens that's the best way and that's the best form of government around the world. But as you can see, other forms of government have worked around the world that were not democratic. As a matter of fact, just like we have problems with democracy, other countries that have switched over from their form of government, like Russia did from communism to democracy, they have run into all kinds of problems with adjustment and just with the rules. So so being as though not everybody from other countries looks at the United States as as being friendly or as a friend, the United States knows the United States military knows that they're going to have to deal with the quote unquote insurgents and rebels at some point. They're not insurgents, they're not rebels. What they are citizens who have grown up in a place and want to keep their way of life that they believe in. And the United States is not invited or welcome to come over there and into their country and just regulate. But because they know that those rebels or those insurgents will inflict violence in order to push back on the United States, they will the United States will take away their weapons. Oh man, the caller left. I'm so sorry. I guess when you're not allowed to overtalk me or when I'm not allowed to rebut against you, well, toodles. I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I saw that number, I started not to answer it, but that's not fair. That's not right. I wasn't going to answer it though, because I knew he was going to go there. Listen, man. You know, sometimes I'm in the mood for all that Oreo, um, cool. Everything the white man does is good, and everything the black man does is bad. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that. A lot of times I'm not in the mood for it. I'm not in the mood for it today. So I want to apologize to y'all if I seem to come off rude against the caller, but we have history, and if nothing else, I want to keep it respectful. I think I tried to be respectful to him when I brought him on, and I think that he was a little disrespectful, not just in his rebuttaling against me, because I don't mind a disagreement, I don't mind discourse, but you're not going to overtalk me. Like this is the place to be. My my when he used to call into the Legacy of a Nation show with my dad, he used to be able to say whatever he wanted to say for however long he wanted to say it, and my dad would let him do that. Well, unfortunately, my daddy's gone now, and I miss him and I love him so much. But we ain't dealing with that bullshit. Sorry. You know, Pop, I wanted to do that all the time when you was here. Now, all right. So, okay, but some of the things that he said may have been valid as far as knowing what the laws are and things like that. I don't have a problem with that. Um, we also have to be aware of how things work on the books and how things work in practice. Just like, he was talking about how the United States, how some of our military personnel or some maybe they were Peace Corps people running around in other countries giving out Bibles. Now Iraq and other Middle Eastern countries are Muslim countries. Why would you give out Bibles? How is that a show of friendship? Many of our people believe that Christianity was developed in order to keep the black man down. I'm not sure if I totally subscribe to that, because I believe that wherever you get your spirituality, if you believe in the good God and you practice the good God teachings, I think that it all works out in the end. So I'm not going to talk about anybody's religion or how they practice or whatever, or what its original intent was. So moving on, though, moving on. So where are we? Where are we in terms of your decision to purchase firearms or not? Where are you now? Like, have these mass shootings, have they made you think to yourself, you know what, I need to be able to fight fire with fire? Or have they compelled you to believe even farther that we got to get these guns out of people's hands and off the streets? I'm interested in knowing where y'all stand with that, because it has an effect. Now, I'm not oblivious to, all of the violence that's going on in the streets, the black on black violence. We got to stop saying black on black crime, because there are way more crimes than just violence and murder. But that's the first thing that's where our minds go to immediately when we start talking about black on black crime. It's not always violence. You start talking about crime, you start talking about theft, you start talking about prostitution, you start talking about any laws on the books. And that's why it seems so high for our people. You got to understand the way that the numbers are skewed. We really need to understand that. So when we start saying black on black violence, we're talking about one thing. When we start talking about black on black crime, we're opening up the book to a whole other thing. But we need to know when we're speaking and what we're speaking about. We're not talking about black on black crime. We're talking about black on black violence. And has black on black violence made you more willing to purchase a firearm to defend yourself? And even if you buy a gun, how willing are you to use the gun in the situation where it would be warranted? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you mentally prepared to do what the firearm was intended to do? Because it doesn't have any other uses. We call them hammers, but you can't bang in a nail with it. Well, maybe you ruin the gun, the handle. I'm reading your comments when the board came on. Nar says, reel the caller back in. Yeah. Robbie Mink says, I rarely go out. I need a gun for my house. Once you come in my house, I feel like you have violated me. If you can't feel safe at home, where you gonna feel safe? If you can't feel, we hear about home invasions. What I mean, how bad is that? A home invasion, like, Dad, you can't even be in your crib and chill. I can't really think of anything that's worse than that. A home invasion. Come on, man. What we doing? By the way, y'all, make sure y'all hit that like button. Excuse me. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752, and we're talking about guns. Have these mass shootings compelled you to go out and get a gun? Which side of the gun fence are you on? Gun or no gun? I don't want to hurt nobody, but more than anything, I don't want to be hurt by nobody. Yeah, man. I still don't fear going out to public gatherings, but I have to be. I have to say that my awareness is heightened now. Like I don't know what these cats are going to do out here now. People wind up getting shot when they weren't the intended target. These stray bullets are ruthless, man. They don't care. When they say, we used to always say that bullets don't have no name. Man, I'm almost starting to think that maybe they do. And they kind of do. Bullets have names. They have names like Hollow, Dum Dums, Poison Tip. I want to give a shout out, a sympathy shout out for any of us who have lost loved ones through gun violence or any type of violence out there on the streets. It's a tough thing to have to deal with. It's a horrible situation for family to have to deal with. It has all types of cultural implications, financial implications, and emotional implications. Shout out to any and everybody who has lost loved ones to gun violence. Because I know that losing somebody to gun violence can make you either want to go out and perpetrate gun violence, or it can make you even more leery of owning a gun. I say it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6, and I stand on that. However, I can't expect everybody to feel how I feel. They haven't been through what I've been through, and it's okay. It's okay. If you don't want to own a gun, that's one thing. I would still encourage you to have some form of self-defense. Take self-defense classes. At least know how to disarm somebody who has a gun. Martial arts classes, military training classes. That's it. Ansel Jones says, unarmed black people being killed. People has thought about getting guns this generation. Yeah. It's the worst thing in the world. Getting shot or killed when you didn't have the ability to shoot or kill. All the sorries in the world, all the lawsuits in the world can't fix that. The PTSD that comes behind, being in that situation or losing somebody to that situation. It's not what's up. Robbie Mink says, I was always afraid of guns. My brother and stepfather would tell me to hold their guns and get a feel of them. I was like, no, I'm good. But all these shootings took that fear away. The time comes. The time comes. You can buy a gun. You can get a gun. You can get some guns. You don't. I mean, God forbid you should ever have to use them in that way. But God forbid even farther that they will be used against you and you're defenseless. God, please forbid that. Hopefully, if you ever had to get a gun and use a gun, you would be using it in a way that was defensive for you. Like, listen, it was my life or theirs. It was either them or me, and I chose myself. God is going to forgive you for that. I don't know if God forgives somebody for killing you. I'd rather take my chances on God as the offender. Should I say, I'm sorry, the defender. I take my chances with God on that. Caldoon says, I haven't lost a loved one to gun violence, although I almost lost my life in the middle of being mugged. The bullet grazed me. Also, I did lose two loved ones. I lost two loved ones to knife violence. Knife violence, that's up close and personal. When you get stabbed, man, I don't care whether you get sliced on some $1.50 shit or whether you get poked up. The first murder that I witnessed was knife violence. Stabbed that man in his heart, right under his heart, or maybe he did. That blood was running from his chest. He tried to run in the house. His adrenaline was pumping, that, and you could see the blood he just collapsed on his step, looking up to it. I said, "My dang, yeah." So, that was the first murder that I would ever see. Wouldn't be the last. The last murder I witnessed was gun violence. Shot the boy in the head in the club, 5 feet away from me. Well, let's see, it's over there. Maybe 7 feet. Boom. It ain't like in the movies. You should have seen the people yelling and screaming. You should have seen the people yelling and screaming and running. You should have seen the people yelling and screaming and running and jumping and okay. I don't mean to make light of that. It's crazy though. So yeah, I'm fully aware of the violence that can come with guns, the dangers that can come with guns. Guns in the hands of irresponsible and angry people. It's not going to be a good look. But once again, and sorry for your peoples, Caldoon. One love. Once again, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Or maybe counseled by 1. And so Jones says, he asked Omar, did it change my life? Well, yeah, it did. Because I was 14 when I saw the boy get stabbed. And up until then, I was afraid to see anybody get killed. And it happened so fast that I didn't have enough time to be afraid. And I hate to say this, Ansel. I really hate to say this. But that was my introduction to death on the streets. But I think that was also the beginning of my desensitization, my desensitivity to violence on the streets. I needed to see that. I was so afraid to see it before, but it was like, I think it triggered my dark side. Like, yeah, I could sort of like, the people who report the news, how they can talk about all of this death and destruction and they never show any emotion. They never report the news like, oh man, it's messed up out there. They shot this boy and it hit the kids and you know what I mean? And now this, they never report it like that. They're not allowed to. They always report it stoically, like gun violence rips the streets of Philadelphia once again. A 3-year-old was shot with a handgun after an argument ensued with blah, 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 blah. They just reported matter of factly. I think that's kind of what happened to me. Kind of. I still have feelings. But I think I was meant to stare death in the face. But nonetheless, I want to keep as many of my people around for as long as I possibly can. Happy and healthy. Striving. And if we got to do it with our guns in defense, then fuck it. We're going to do this shit. We'll all get judged by 12 and carried by, rather than being carried by 6. I don't want to be a pallbearer to nobody, no time soon. Robbie Mink says that's something I don't want to oversee someone getting killed. Yeah. TK Wright says George Zimmerman had a lot of us getting guns. I just wish Trayvon could have knocked his ass out. I wish Trayvon would have knocked his ass out and stole his gun. Like, pussy, you was gonna shoot me? I wish that would have been the narrative. I wish we would have been all going to court for Trayvon. Like, yo, Trayvon did the right thing. Justice for Trayvon. Free Trayvon. Trayvon did it right. That's what I wish we could have been doing. All right, y'all. We about to do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious July 9th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number one out the box, Samid Patah. Happy birthday to you. And also LaQuanda McCullum. Happy birthday to you. And Charlanda Shriek Wilson. Happy birthday to you, turning 45 years old today. And DeChantel DM Locust, turning 48 years old today. And my brother, Robert Sue, turning 55 years old today. Germantown stand up all day. And Chevalier Lovett, turning 40 years old today. And Dwayne Break, D Smooth, my man, D Smooth, comedian D Smooth. Happy birthday to you, my brother. And Yvonne Lee, Bonnie Lee, turning 51 years old today. And last but not least, Olafemi Pamela Kennebrew, my girl, Pam Kennebrew. I want to say happy birthday to you. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all and anyone else out there who shares this birthday on this glorious glorious.
10 seconds.
July 9th. I hope that today finds you a good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. All y'all go ahead and turn up. Turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out. Rock on and do the damn, to rock out. Rock on and do the damn, rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, man, this is just something to think about. I don't know if our people want to get more guns, defend themselves, or if they want to, find other means to be able to defend themselves. The most important thing that I think we should do is defend ourselves. We don't have to offend anyone, but we should always be in defense of our lives, our loves, and our whatever. It's all life, I would hate for all of us to be afraid to go out, be afraid to interact with others, be afraid to socialize. But it seems like the country is driving us in that direction. And I'm not going to blame any politicians or whatever. There are factors out there that we are unaware of, but something's happening out there, man. The violence is crazy. It is. The violence is crazy. I don't want to see y'all or any of us having to deal with that situation. So please be careful, y'all. Please look out for your peoples. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. We will be back on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure y'all come through for another Urban Therapy with Sun show. My bad. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all back to life. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. All right, so Blog Talk, let me get you out of here. Peace.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Yeah, and for my YouTubers, you know just how we do, but thanks for coming on through. See you on the other side, my boobas. See you on the other side, my boobas. On the other side.